We have received hundreds of hate comments. I cannot read them all, but I'm going to read you a few examples.
That's Matthew Hayes, the co-owner of Q Nightclub in Colorado Springs, which was the target of a mass shooting less than a month ago. To add insult to injury, they're getting hate mail.
I woke up to the wonderful news that 5 mentally unstable and lesbians and 18 injured. The only thing I'm mad about is that the had courage to subdue the wonderful killer. I hope more shootings happen. Have a blessed day. The shooter was doing God's work. 5 less, not enough. Those that stopped him are the devil. All gays should die. This is hate.
It absolutely is hate, and it's hard to imagine feeling totally comfortable sending those hateful messages to people who had just been through a pretty traumatic and tragic event, a mass shooting at a gay nightclub where several people were gunned down. 5 people died, 17 were wounded as a result, and the shooter is obviously inspired by the anti-gay hatred in his heart, anti-trans hatred in his heart. And this testimony is important to hear about because while we might talk about it here on the show, it's important for these lawmakers to hear about it, both Democrats and Republicans. Now, this was a hearing that took place to kind of discuss how the rhetoric and discourse in this country might fuel some to carry out acts of violence. There were 2 victims of that shooting at the hearing to testify, and also, as you heard from the co-owner, he was there as well. I've got more video to share from the testimony, Cenk, but any thoughts?
Yeah, he's about to say something I think that's the most important. But look, guys, so there's the gaslighting of society and mainstream media, et cetera, where you're not supposed to say things that are obvious. Republicans have proposed over 600 bills that are against the LGBTQ community in just the last 4 years. Republicans are the ones that are driving hatred towards gays. I mean, you could say broadly the right wing is. You might find a couple of Republicans who genuinely don't hate gay people, but overall the majority of the right wing and the Republicans are the ones that drive that ideology. Is it the left wing that is saying, oh, you should hate gay people, they're sinners, there's something wrong with them, oh my God, watch out for the trans, watch it, they're in the wrong bathrooms, wrong sports, etc. No, it's definitely the right wing. So the right wing creates monsters, people who are unstable, that could go in a lot of different directions. An unstable person could get obsessed with random things. But right wing media tells them, oh, hate gay people, hate them, hate them, hate them, hate them, hate them. And then they not only drive some of them to go pick up a weapon and murder gay people, as happened in this instance, but then it drives others to write in and go, oh, thank God the gay people were killed. That's what my right-wing media monster like Tucker Carlson, you fill in the blank, Ben Shapiro told me. Oh, he told me to despise gay people. By the way, so did my pastor, so did my Republican politician. And so, gee, I wonder where that hatred got into my head. That's where it got from. It's the right wing that are creating these monsters.
Also, very likely self-hatred as well, right? If individuals who were raised in a hyper-conservative environment might start feeling that they might be gay themselves, I mean, that leads to a lot of self-hatred. They lash out in violent ways. So it's an incredibly toxic environment that we're currently living in, and what's further making it or exacerbating it is some of the lies that get told about various individuals based on political motivations, right? The groomer word gets thrown around left and right just because the person claiming it, saying it, doesn't like the political opponent they're directing that language toward. And it just creates an incredibly hostile, dangerous environment for groups of people that historically in this country and around the world have been incredibly powerless. Now, as I mentioned, this was testimony before a House committee. They're talking about hate crimes against various groups of people. In this case, obviously, we're talking about the LGBTQ community. And there were others who also testified, including 25-year-old Michael Anderson, who's actually working behind the bar when shots broke out. Let's watch.
While I prepared for my life to end in that moment, I prayed, I panicked, and I prayed some more. God must have heard my prayers because 2 brave men stopped the shooter moments before he would have inevitably found me. I saw my friend lying on the floor, bleeding out, knowing there was little to no chance of surviving that bullet wound. I had to tell him goodbye while I continued to fear for my life, not knowing if the attack was truly over.
So he had to say goodbye to his friend as he was laying on the floor bleeding out from a gunshot wound. And no one should have to go through that. And in this country, people go through it all the time because of the regular occurrence of mass shootings. But this one takes it a step further. It's allegedly a hate-inspired mass shooting. Again, where 5 people were gunned down and killed, 17 others wounded.
So look, we talk about the culture wars all the time. So does right-wing media, and they say that it's culture wars are super important. That Fox News is obsessed with them, et cetera. What are the culture wars? Culture wars are be like us, don't be like them. They're the bad guys, right? And so, and both sides do it, but how do they do it? So we tell you that they're the bad guys because they're driving hatred, and they're saying, oh, okay, somebody's born gay, you should hate them. You should hate them, and make sure that they're never mentioned in any schools because their very existence is problematic, right? And they should be banned from this place and that place, and they should not have the same rights as others in getting married. They should just be inferior. They're inferior to us, and they should have less rights than us. That's a fact that the right wing pushes for that. They put it into bills, and they try to pass those bills, and oftentimes they do. That is a stone cold fact. So anyone lying to you about that and pretending that, oh, I can't tell, is it Democrats or Republicans? Is it right wing or left wing? They're absolute liars, and they're lying on behalf of the right wing. So we fight the culture wars, and we tell you they're immoral for an excellent reason, because they are immoral. They do drive hatred. Now, what do they say? They say, oh, no, don't worry about what that person thinks. Don't worry if that person is kind or not. Just hate them for who they are. That guy's born gay, that bartender? Well, I mean, if somebody tries to murder him, I mean, look, he made a slight mistake. You're supposed to hate the sin and not the sinner. Wink. But in reality, of course, all of the religions, along with all of right-wing media and almost all of the Republican Party, tell you to hate gay people and that they're different and inferior. They're the ones that cause the goddamn hatred, and yes, definitely the shootings.
So look, just quick note, I mean, not all religions and not all interpretations of religious doctrine.
Not all interpretations of religions, but the fundamentalist interpretation,
and it's
the right-wing interpretation of every religion, does hate gay people.
Okay, so now that we've moved on to the right-wing angle to this story, which I think is incredibly important, Republican congressmen decided to use this hearing as an opportunity to draw false equivalences between the right and the left in terms of their rhetoric. And I'm gonna debunk what is about to be claimed. So Representative James Comer of Kentucky, the ranking Republican on the committee, denounced violence in all forms, but pointed the finger back at Democrats.
Oh, yeah.
He says, quote, "This is not an oversight hearing. This is a blame Republicans so we don't have to take responsibility for our own defund the police and soft on crime policies." We're not having a discussion right now about defund the police or soft on crime policies, which to the, distress of some leftists, I've been talking about a lot lately, and I do not agree with them on some of those policies. But nonetheless, we're not having a conversation about crime. We're having a discussion about a hate-inspired mass shooting where innocent people were gunned down by a person who might have been motivated by some of the garbage that we hear from conservative media and right-wing politicians. And I'll give you the latest example. Latest example comes from the state of Texas. Their Attorney General, Ken Paxton, apparently wanted to make a list of individuals in the state of Texas who had changed their gender on their state-issued ID or driver's license. How do we know this? Well, apparently he reached out to the Texas Department of Public Safety in June, and he asked them to compile a list of individuals who had changed their gender on their Texas driver's license and other department records in the past 2 years. What was he gonna do with that list? Real interesting. And he did so by essentially not going through the appropriate channels, right? He went directly to the individuals who work within DMV, right? I mean, that's where the driver's licenses are issued. Now, he said, based on documents that the Washington Post has reviewed, These were the communications amongst individuals working in the department. Need total number of changes from male to female and female to male for the last 24 months, broken down by month. The chief of the DPS driver's license division emailed colleagues in the department on June 30th, according to a copy of the message obtained by the Washington Post through a public records request. We won't need driver's license ID numbers at first, but may need to have them later if we are required to manually look up documents. The records, which document communications between DPS employees, are entitled AG Request Sex Change Data and AG Data Request. They indicate that Paxton's office sought the records a month after the state Supreme Court ruled that Paxton and Abbott had overreached in their efforts to investigate families with transgender children for child abuse. So just look at the accusations that get thrown around toward parents who are accepting and loving toward their transgender children. They're accused of child abuse by these right-wing politicians. Anyone who might be transgender. I mean, just think about how the transgender debate was transpiring in 2015. I mean, that's when things really started to heat up. And they kept referring to literal students, transgender students who might want to use the bathroom that they identify with as sexual predators. That was the branding that they used from the very beginning. So when you're constantly putting out into the world, into the country through your discourse that these are dangerous people, they're looking to sexually assault your daughters, they might rape your daughters, oh, we should be so scared of them. In a country, by the way, full of people who don't have mental health care and very likely, in a lot of cases, have mental health issues that are undiagnosed and untreated. Great. And then we live in a country, of course, where we're swimming in guns at the same time.
Yeah, so two things. First, on the defund the police stuff. Look, as Anna said, two completely separate issues. So if they were related, we would tell you, because we've been, as some of you know, being very aggressive in saying, look, I think that there was overreaching on the issue of sentence reductions, etc. That's a very long and complicated story. There should be sentence reductions, but they were done in the wrong way. And what that has led to is, yes, an outbreak of crime. It is real. So a lot of the leftists hate us for saying things that are obviously true, etc. But we're telling you that has nothing to do with this shooting here, because these kind of shootings happen all the time. Under previous laws, under these laws, it's not because they're like, oh, there aren't cops around. No, they do it no matter how much security there is, no matter how many cops there are. That has nothing to do with a completely separate issue. But Paxton going around saying, who are the transgender ones? Let's identify them and target them. And then don't tell me that you're not immoral. Don't tell me that you're not trying to hate people. Don't tell me that you're not trying to identify people that you're gonna go after because you're a disgusting pig. By the way, this pig Paxton is actually a criminal. For 7 long years, the authorities have wanted him. He became Attorney General in Texas so that he can avoid the law. He goes, oh, I'm Attorney General. And Republicans love criminals, so they elected me. So now you can't touch me because of, but I'm gonna target transgender people who've done nothing wrong based on their identity. Why do Republicans try to misdirect you and get you to hate people based on identity? Because if you actually judged people on their actions, the right wing would be in terrible shape. They're like, no, not on actions, just on random features, whether you're gay or black or whatever else. Because if we looked at your actions, right wingers, you're disgusting. Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR, so those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.